Hello students, welcome back. So in this session, we are going to be covering while loop. So while loop actually follows this syntax, right? This is the general expression of that. So while your Boolean expression is true, it's going to keep executing this block of code. Let's understand this through some example. So let's say, let me run this first. So let's say you want to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on each new line. So you start by initializing your I equal to 1, and as long as this condition is true, as long as your I less than 5 or equal to 5, you're going to print this value. The value of I is, and it's going to print the value of I. And then I increment by I by 1 in this case, okay? And then when I run this code, as you can see, it prints out the value of I is 1, the value of I is 2, and the value of I is 3. So basically what's happening over here is that it's printing each statement, and after that it increments the value of I by 1. Then it comes back on the top, it checks if this condition is true. If it is true, it's going to come back and execute this. So it's going to keep running this code until this condition becomes false. The moment this condition becomes false, it's going to exit the while loop. So that's the logic. That's the general logic of your while loop. Okay, let's say you want to print only the even numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So there are the different ways you can accomplish the same task. So let's look at the style number 1. So initialize your num equal to 2, okay? Then as long as your number is less than or equal to 10, you print your numbers and then you increment your number by 2. Okay, then come back on the top and you keep doing the same thing over and over again. So this way you can print numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. As you can see, your number 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 is getting printed like this. And at the end you get the done message because it's when it exists the while loop right here. So over here, basically, it's checking for this condition. As long as this condition is true, it's going to keep executing this code over here. And inside this code, increment the value of num. By the way, that's the general form of a while loop. Anytime when you're checking for a condition, that condition eventually has to turn false. Otherwise, this is going to get into infinite loop. So this condition right here, a lot of time you're going to see inside a while loop that you will have some type of incrementing or decrementing this particular variable over here. So at some point, this variable gets false. Okay, so let's look at the style too. Same task, it's different style now. So here I want to print 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Same thing. So what I'm doing, I'm initializing my num equal to 0. And while your number is less than 10, you increment your number by 1. That's the first thing you do. And then you check. You check if your number is even. If it is even, then you print the number. Otherwise, you don't print the number. Simple logic, right? And exactly that's what's happening over here. So it's printing 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So anytime it sees an odd number, so this condition is not true, it kind of like skips that, moves on to the next one. So basically that's what's happening over here. Okay, then there is another style you can do. This another style that you can use to execute to actually accomplish the same thing. You want to print 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 right there, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. In this case, I'm using continue statement right here. So num equal to 0, initialize your number variable with 0. And as long as your num is less than 10, you increment the number by 1. Now you check if your number is it even or not. If it is not even number, then continue. So what basically continue does is that it's gonna skip. It's not gonna proceed further. It's not gonna go to the next line of code. It's gonna go straight to the top right there, back to the num. So continue basically skipping this particular logic is skipping the odd numbers, and it moves on to the next iteration. That's what's happening over here. So as you can see, it prints out 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So every time when it sees an odd number, it just skips it. Okay, that's what's happening. By the way, you can actually disable this continue. So by disabling this continue, now you're going to see all the odd numbers getting printed because of this print statement right here. Okay, because this gets executed. As you can see, oh, what just happened over here? Oh yeah, you have to actually just remove this one too. Okay, now if I run this, as you can see, it prints out 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9 all the way. So, but I actually want to only print the uh, the even numbers. So over here I'm checking if it's an odd number, then continue, meaning go back to the top. Do not go to the next line. Okay, then you can also generally you use while loop for user inputs. So in this scenario, what's happening is that you ask a user to enter a number, and then you explicitly mention over here that type 0 to stop. So the user will keep entering the numbers. In this while loop is checking if my number is equal to 0. Okay, if it's not equal to 0, it's going to keep asking the user to enter the number, and it's going to keep entering, whatever the user enters, it's going to keep displaying that number on the screen. So let's run this code over here. So enter a number. So let's say enter a number, let's say 3, enter. You entered 3. You see, it asks the user for a number, checks the number, and then it prints this thing message. You entered that number, and then it asks again, enter a number, 0 to stop. And then see that it's asking the same number again. So let's type 7 this time. And you see that now it's asking same thing, enter a number. And first it displays the message like whatever number was entered. Do it again. Let's say 5 this time. Actually, let's make it 5534. Hit enter. And you see it's going to keep going forever. But the only time it's going to stop if the user enters a number which is equal to 0, okay, because it's checking for this condition right here. Now I enter 0 right here, okay, 0, and there you go. So as soon as I entered 0, this condition became false right here, and because this became false, it exited the while loop, and it printed this message, thank you right there. Uh, let's try to use while with a break. So in this case, what break is does, it actually exits a while loop. That's what it does. So let's say you want to print 1, 2, 3 on each new line and then stop at 4. You don't want to do all the way. You only want to do up to 1, 2, 3. So the way you do is you start like this. If initialize your I equal to 1, and if your I, as long as your I is less than or equal to 6, you check for this condition. If I is equal to 4, then stopping at 4, and then you break. Okay, so let's run this, and as you can see, it prints 1, 2, 3, and then as soon as detects I equal to 4, it's going to say stopping at 4, and then it breaks the loop. So it's going to exit this while loop completely and come out of the loop, and it says stopping at 4. Now if you don't do this thing, let's say if you disable this break statement, okay, now, what do you think will happen? Now, look, what's happening is gonna keep incrementing. I equal to 1. Remember, there's an increment happening over here. So, is this at any time, is this gonna become false? And let's find out. Let's run this code and look at that. Yes, it does. So, as you can see, the moment your I exceeds 6, okay, then it's gonna stop. So as you can see what's happening, since I have disabled the break loop, so it says stopping at 4, but it does not stop at 4. It keeps going 4, 5, 6. Now if I enable the break statement, now I run this, and you can see it prints 1, 2, 3, stopping at 4 right there. It does not proceed any further after the 4 because it has exited the while loop because of this break statement. Just thought you should know on a side note, there's an infinite loop bomb. So this is dangerous. Don't ever do that. So I'll just show you what's happening over here. This is one of the things. So for example, here I equal to 1, while your I is greater than 0, print hello and increment I by 2. The problem with this line of code is that this logic is always going to be true. It will never become false. So since this never becomes false, this will keep executing like forever. You see, print hello, and then it's going to increment I by 2. Is I greater than 0? Yes, it is. Print hello is going to increment by I by 2. Then again, it's going to ask this condition, hey, is I greater than 0? Yes, it is. So it's going to keep going in a forever loop. So this is actually can freeze your screen. Just thought you should know. I'm not going to run this right here. Okay. Another one is like this one right here. In this case, uh, I'm saying while true, okay, print, this is an infinite loop, press Control C to stop. So if I run this, it's going to keep printing this line. This is infinite stop. This is infinite loop. And the reason is because this statement is always going to be true. So these are like your infinite bombs. Okay. All right, gentlemen. Thank you.